Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Sarasota. We're here to support you in finding a personal relationship with the God of your understanding and in discovering what you already know. I greet you with Namaste. And Namaste is a Sanskrit word that means the divinity in me recognizes and honors the divinity in you. Now, each week we begin our time together by affirming our vision and mission statement, so I invite you to join me in reading these now. Our vision, empowering spiritual growth as a loving, inclusive, worldwide community. And this is our mission. We teach science of mind principles and other life-affirming spiritual truths. We explore, we learn, we grow, we connect, honoring all paths to God. We offer in-person and online weekly services, classes, workshops, affirmative prayer support, and other spiritual tools. We create opportunities for joyful social connection, community outreach, and of course, service. We celebrate the awakening of our innate spiritual magnificence. And now I invite you to prepare for our moment of prayerful meditation. Breathe easily as you relax into this moment, allowing your mind chatter to gently subside, and take into your heart the beautiful words and melody of this meditative song shared by Fawny Frost with Bob Teesdale. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful?
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How deeply you're connected to my soul.
How affirming to realize that each of us is at the center of our being, never anything less than perfect, never anything less than whole. As a beloved creation of the infinite out of itself, I take this truth to heart and I hold it close. Oh, it's easy to become caught up in my busy doing mindset, hedged in by the multiplicity of details demanding my attention as part of expected day-to-day functioning. And yet, my body, mind, and soul hunger and thirst for the healing tone of silence, for a lull in the rhythm of doing. And so I simply and tenderly rest in enough. 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 It is in this space of courageous vulnerability my soul is nurtured, floating up through all the jangling echoes of the turbulence. There is a deeper note which only the stillness of my heart makes clear. In this moment of pause, this moment of rest, I tune into my soul's vibration, listening with tenderness to my deeper self without judgment, and I breathe. Gentle, intuitive insights lighten my spirit, reassuring and freeing me from the burdens of the day. I begin to welcome, to embrace myself as I am. And as I do this, I feel my soul joyfully expanding, even smiling, ready to inform and guide me on my journey of expressing my exquisite essence, vibrant with the one life, the life of God showing up as my magnificent life. Refreshed and renewed, I know that this nurturing of my own soul truly does radiate outward to help heal the world. For all of this, I am so very grateful. And so it is. She has shared her wisdom with us on several occasions, and it is such a joy to be introducing our returning guest speaker, Reverend Christie Hardwick. Now, Reverend Christie is an ordained religious science minister, and before that, having had her own executive coaching practice for over 15 years, she's a leadership development expert and a master facilitator. And she also had a 30-year career in the high-tech world, including several years at the executive level. And in addition, she was a member of the executive committee of the Women's Leadership Board for Kennedy School of Government at Harvard. As the founder of Inspiration Gatherings, Reverend Christie creates music and spoken word events, inviting each of us to walk our path with a more open heart. Who wouldn't want that? And she divides her residence between Italy and St. Petersburg, Florida. Reverend Christie and her wife Jane have 4 children and 6 grandchildren between them. And now here's the exciting news. Reverend Christie recently wrote and published her book, Radical Self-Tenderness: How Nurturing Your Own Soul Can Help Heal the World. It can be found on Amazon and also Centers for Spiritual Living website shop, and the links are available on our newsletter, which is on our website. But here's what one of the many recent reviewers wrote about her book. The review said, "This book exudes wisdom filled with honesty, courageous vulnerability, and deep healing." Christie Hardwick invites us on a journey alongside her as she shares with us pivotal moments of her life that deeply affected her, modeling how deep honesty and courageous vulnerability not only begin one's own healing, but also are imperative in the process of connecting us all. And the review goes on to say, this book is rich with deep wisdom about self-tenderness and the way we each deepen our own healing, which in turn expands the healing of the collective, of the world. Now, I can tell you, I personally was so struck by the message of Reverend Christie's book that I asked her permission to use it as a theme of my August messages. And then it dawned on me that a perfect introduction would be for Reverend Christie to give the first talk, introducing firsthand the powerful message of her book. And so that's what we're going to be hearing today. And before we hear from Reverend Christie, Fawny and Bob are here again to sing for us And the song is Just the Way You Are.
Don't go changing to try to please me. You never let me down before. Ooh, don't imagine you too familiar. I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. Ooh, I'll took the good times, I'll take the bad times. I'll take you just the way you are. Don't go trying some new fashion. Don't change the color of your hair. Ooh, you always have mine. Unspoken passion. Although I might not seem to care. I don't want clever conversation. I never want to work that hard. Ooh, I just want someone that I can talk to. I want you just the way you are. I need to know that you will always be same old someone that I knew. Oh, what would it take till you believe in me the way that I believe in you? I said I love you, that's forever. This I promise from the heart. Ooh, I could not love you any better. I love you just the way you are. Oh,
I am willing to be a Tenderness Broadcasting station. I am willing to be a Tenderness Broadcasting station. I chose those words carefully. I said willing to be, not wanting, not planning, but being willing. And to be a Tenderness Broadcasting station. What an ambition, right? Some of you may know that I recently published a book that's called Radical Self-Tenderness: How Nurturing Your Own Soul Can Help Heal the World. Another audacious idea. It came to me because one day I woke up in the early hours of the morning, and this happened to me often, where I would get these intuitive hits. I don't know if that happens to you, 4 a.m., even if it's early for you, 6 a.m., and just a line came. And the line said, "Tenderness terrifies me." I thought, what? What an interesting set of words to come together. Terrifies me? Really? Let me explore that. And it came again, and it came again, and it came again. So I needed to actually listen to those words and really immerse myself in this idea of tenderness, and even the idea of being terrified by it. There's something about the vulnerability of receiving tenderness that feels scary, that feels so different than walking around protected and planning and taking care and having some level of certainty. Being vulnerable to tenderness meant being wide open, heart open. As I'm saying these words, I want you to right now just open your arms wide. Open them wide. Just open them wide. And notice your heart. And feel that sense of openness. And not just in your heart, but even move up and down your chakras. And notice in the solar plexus area, that openness to light, the openness to feeling, and moving up into the heart area, and moving up into the throat, up to the third eye, that feeling of flow of life flowing through openly without obstruction. This lack of obstruction is what could allow us to be broadcasting stations. And the truth is, we're always broadcasting stations. It's just a matter of what we're broadcasting. When we're closed and the feeling of aliveness and wholeness is not available to us in that moment, we broadcast that sense of limitation and maybe closure and protection. And this is our human experience. Sometimes we do this. But if we practice the idea of being open and vulnerable and receiving of tenderness, we have the possibility to let it flow through us and onto others. When I thought about and wrote about the fears I had about tenderness and vulnerability and being wide open, it was based on experiences I had. And the experiences I had, I drew conclusions from. And the conclusions I drew were that when I was vulnerable or open, it wasn't safe for me. There was harm done. It didn't always happen, but it happened enough that those memories locked in, and I had the idea that I should just stay safe and keep a little bit closed and not have the door to my heart wide open. As I studied those things that happened, and I've been studying those things that happened for years and years and years, and I've been studying them and releasing them, and this girl has walked fire, has climbed poles, has done anything that was necessary to see if I could release some of these agreements I made, as Don Miguel Ruiz calls them, the agreements I made in my youth about what vulnerability and heart openness means. I did the work to walk the fire, to climb the poles, to do the therapy, to go to breath work, to have all kinds of healing modalities, all to release what was holding me back from being wide open. And I continue to do the work. We all do the work. To what end? What is the point of all that? To remove the protections. It's in order for me to broadcast a more authentic and true essence. My true essence is unharmed. Nothing that happened to me has changed who I fundamentally am. And in our teachings, we know that we are fundamentally the Christ consciousness. We are fundamentally love itself. I know this in every fiber of my being, some moments. And I often forget. And in those moments, I may close. I may try to protect. But this idea of trying tenderness, that beautiful song, Try a Little Tenderness, is something that is really adding
so much richness and texture to my life. Every day I have an opportunity to be more open, more willing, more vulnerable, and to be broadcasting that vulnerability and that openness invites people who are in space with me, who are in presence together, who may be hearing my words, who may be reading my words, to come to that place of tenderness in themselves. We hear it all the time, and because it's something that has been proven to be true, we don't have to believe it, we just know it's true. What we don't give to ourselves, it's very challenging to actually give to others. We may think we are, but we are limited by our actual experience of it. If we're not experiencing it in ourselves, within our own experience of ourselves, then we don't have that to give in our experience with others. So let me just say that again in a different way, because I'm continuing to learn this all the time. I may say that I deeply love and care for so many people in my life, in my constellation, and yet they are limited to the care and the love that I am willing to feel and experience in myself. Therefore, if I'm experiencing it in myself, I am giving it to myself because I am made of it. You see, when I limit my experience of my essence of love, of this Christ consciousness of full and whole inclusion, of this consciousness of recognizing my unity with the whole of life and recognizing my unity with love, when I, in any way, withhold from myself, I am tamping down on that channel of this human experience. I'm tamping down on the channel of my unique expression of this life essence, this force, this love. So the tenderness that we apply to ourselves is on behalf of the whole. It's not just for me, because it can't be just for me, because I am not just one individuation and that's all. Yes, I'm an individualized expression of spirit, but I'm individualized in the whole. And therefore everything I think, say, and do matters to the whole. I give myself tender regard. I give myself tender thoughts and words and actions. And in that, I am giving all of that to you. Every person in my personal constellation, every person who's in the further reaches of my constellation on a physical plane, because at the spiritual level, there is no separation. There's only one. So as I broadcast this idea of tenderness and I practice it and I try and I test and I make mistakes from the standpoint of closing up and then I reopen, this is all part of our beautiful journey in our life. Before writing my book, as many of us who've written anything, of course I've read thousands and thousands of books. And I remember thinking to myself, well, why would you write a book? There's so many books out there. Who needs another book, right? But each of us is a unique expression of the one. And each of us has our own note to add to the music of this life. So I wrote those words and let those words come through me. In many ways, they wrote me. I would sit and they would pour out. And of course, there was copy editing and punctuation and things that were moved around to make it clearer for you to read. But ultimately, the words came from spirit in me, as me, and through me. This tenderness calling came from that greater one thing that we're all made of. So these words are for me and for you, and I am the channel. So I trust that those who read the book, Radical Self-Tenderness, those who find their way to it, however that happens, are getting the perfect message at the perfect time. Just like I received so many perfect messages from so many authors at different times. And I have the audacity to call myself a writer and an author because it's been written and it's there. And I celebrate that. And I celebrate it in you and I, because we all are creative beings. We all are sources of divine operation. We're all centers of it. And I invite you to be tender with your creativity, tender with yourself. Allow yourself to broadcast your own beautiful, unique expression that only you can share, and do it with tenderness. I love the word. The word shows me, because I talk about the different ways we can compare kindness and tenderness and other kinds of ways we can be good and generous and all those things. But tenderness has its own unique expression too. And it is something that is beyond just being kind. It's beyond the idea of self-care. It's about being actually tender with ourselves, even and of course with all of what we consider our errors to be in life. Tender with parts of yourself that are afraid, tender with parts of yourself that celebrate, tender with parts of yourself that wonder, tender with parts of yourself that are confused, tender with parts of yourself who can't forgive, tender with parts of yourself that have forgiven, tender in all circumstances, so that you can be a Tenderness Broadcasting station, and we can tap into that aspect of ourselves and awaken it in all those whose lives we touch, because tender people don't do harm to others. And we know there's enough harm moving around in the world, and we don't want to contribute to it. So one of the ways that we can contribute to a more healed experience for our fellow human beings is to start within, to start now, and do it tenderly.
Just before you say something you can't take away, take a breath and let it out. Try to think about what would love do now. Wondering if you should cross that line for good. Whatever you decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now? Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love. That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know, that's real. Whether right or wrong doesn't matter, just as long whatever it's about, ask yourself in and out, what would love do now? That's why for love we try for love. In the end, that's all we know. That's real. Whether right or wrong doesn't matter, just as long whatever it's about, ask yourself in and out, what would love do now? If you let your heart decide, ask yourself from inside, what would love do now?
Ah, yes. What would love do now? Thank you, Fawny and Bob, for reminding us of that oh so important question. And Reverend Christie, thank you so much for your presence with us today and for your inspiring message and, of course, for your book. Now, at the Center for Spiritual Living Sarasota, we're pleased to support you in a variety of ways, and we invite you to share your offering in support of our ability to continue to be here for you. It goes both ways. There are 3 easy ways to contribute. On your screen, you'll see our website, www.cslsarasota.com, where you can select the donate button, which allows you to contribute via PayPal or credit card. Or you can mail a check to our address shown there on our website. Or you can arrange automatic contributions through your own online banking. And now I invite you to take your virtual gift in hand, place it over your heart, blessing it as you share it. And know this with me. My gift goes forth to heal, to bless, and to prosper, and the divine flow returns it to me multiplied abundantly. And now let's declare together our offering affirmation. The words are on your screen. I give thanks that I may share of my good, my love, and my support. And thank you so much. Now, if you're looking for a way to connect with us in community between Sundays, please join us for our Spiritual Living Circle, which meets via Zoom on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And these circles are always open to newcomers and to all at no charge. It's a great way to have a midweek faith lift. And this is a lively discussion hour about an article from the Current Science of Mind magazine. This week's article is entitled, Our Divine Nature is Absolute Inclusion. Now, if you're not currently on the email list, drop a note to Jim Grove at the email address shown here, and he will send you the Zoom link, the article, and the discussion guide, and we hope to see you there. And are you facing a challenge or seeking support for a special intention in your life? Then I strongly encourage you to visit the website and click on the green prayer request button. We have 5 licensed spiritual practitioners, Ron Frost, Jim Grove, Nicole Leeds, Sean Scanlon, and Kathleen Frankert, who are available to know and affirm this spiritual truth with and for you. And these practitioners, by the way, are also available by appointment for spiritual coaching sessions. Now, these sessions offer the opportunity to explore a deeper understanding and practical application of the spiritual truth in the midst of whatever your problem or challenging issue. For more information about that, check out their page at our website by selecting the Staff tab on the left. And finally, on our website, you can sign up to receive our weekly email newsletter, or you can check out our Facebook page for posts about upcoming events and find past services and videos on our YouTube channel. Now, as we conclude our sacred time together, let's do so with the intention to live in light, in tenderness, in love, and peace. I invite you to listen or join in singing our closing song, Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Thanks so much for being with us.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God our Creator. We are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment